Start your day with these three powerful truths.
Before the world demands your attention, before the noise begins, there is a moment, still, quiet, and yours. In that moment, you have a choice to guide your thoughts, to set your tone, to remember who you are before the day tells you who to be. Because how you speak to yourself in the morning becomes the way you carry yourself through life. Let us begin there with intention. Each morning when you wake, you are offered a choice, not just in what you do, but in what you believe. And before anything else begins, before your phone lights up, before the world tells you what you are missing, what you should fear, or who you need to become, you have the chance to meet yourself quietly and honestly. I am present and I am enough. These are not just words to repeat. They are a truth to return to, a home inside yourself that no one can take away. To be present means to be here, not pulled into the future where anxiety lives, or lost in the past where regret lingers. The present moment is the only place where peace can exist, where clarity can grow, and where your power actually lives. Yet, so often, we abandon it. We abandon ourselves chasing the next thing, hoping that just one more goal, one more accomplishment, one more validation will finally make us feel like we are enough. But the truth is, you are enough before the world told you otherwise, before school grades, social comparison, rejection, or failure convinced you that you needed to earn your worth. What if you didn't? What if in this moment, without doing anything at all, you could believe that you are complete? Not because you're perfect, but because you are aware, you are awake, you are breathing. That in itself is a miracle. We forget this. We forget the silent intelligence running our body, the unseen strength it takes to simply keep going. You have endured days where you felt lost, confused, broken, and still you got up again. There's no weakness in you. Even in stillness, you are showing strength. Even in doubt, you are searching for truth. That is not failure, that is growth. To say I am enough is not arrogance. It is the opposite. It is humility. It is the recognition that you are not trying to be better than anyone else. You are not in competition with the world. You are simply trying to be whole within yourself. It is the end of the exhausting performance. The moment when you no longer need to prove, pretend, or please. When your peace is no longer tied to someone else's approval or the outcome of your plans. When you stop measuring yourself by achievements and begin measuring by awareness of your breath, your thoughts, and your presence. Being present is the doorway to that awareness. It is noticing the warmth of the morning light. It is hearing the sound of your breath, not just hearing, but feeling. It is catching your mind when it races away and gently guiding it back to now. Over and over, not as punishment, but as practice. It is easy to believe that you must become something more to finally rest. That once you fix everything, finish everything, earn everything, then you can breathe. But peace does not wait for the end of your to-do list. Peace does not come from becoming more. It comes from accepting what already is. Right now, in this exact moment, ask yourself, what is missing? Not what will be missing tomorrow. Not what was broken yesterday. But what is missing right now as you sit in stillness, as you feel your breath, as you acknowledge your presence. Often, you'll find that nothing is actually missing. The mind may tell a different story, but the body, the breath, it knows that presence is enough, that you are not meant to live by a checklist, that your existence is not a race toward a finish line, that simply being fully and completely is its own kind of wisdom. The world will try to convince you that worth is conditional, that you are only enough if you are productive, attractive, wealthy, and successful. But those conditions are traps They shift constantly, and even when reached, they leave you feeling empty again, because they are not rooted in the present. They are rooted in fear and scarcity. To reclaim your worth, you must leave the noise and come back to the quiet. You must remind yourself every morning, every time the self-doubt returns. I am not behind. I am not lacking. I am not broken. I am present. I am breathing. I am enough. And as you practice this, you begin to move differently. You speak with gentleness, not pressure. You pursue goals with intention, not desperation. You love from fullness, not from need. You begin to radiate calmness, not because your life is perfect, but because your foundation is no longer built on fear. You stop begging the world to tell you who you are. You stop chasing meaning in places that offer only distraction. Instead, you sit, you breathe, you observe, you come home to yourself. You are present and you are enough. Not someday, now. Each day brings its own waves. Some gentle, others fierce. You cannot control the rhythm of the ocean, but you can learn how to stand still in the storm. I respond, not react, is a reminder of that stillness. It is the difference between being controlled by what happens and becoming the one who decides how to meet it. To react is to let life pull you by invisible strings. It's fast, it's emotional, it's unconscious. A comment upsets you, and without thinking, you lash out. A mistake happens, and without pause, you blame. Something goes wrong, and the spiral of thoughts takes over before you even realize what triggered it. Reaction is instinctual, but not always intelligent. Response, on the other hand, is presence in motion. It is not about suppressing emotion or pretending to be unaffected. It is about allowing the emotion to rise, but not letting it take the wheel. It's seeing the feeling, anger, fear, sadness, and making space for it without being consumed. That space is where clarity lives. That space is where power begins. Many people move through life like matches, one spark and they're burning. But the one who breathes before speaking, the one who pauses before acting, holds something rare. They hold mastery not over others, but over themselves. This is not easy. The word encourages reaction. News headlines, social media, constant notifications, all designed to provoke, to ignite, to trigger. The faster you react, the more engaged you become with the chaos. But engagement with chaos is not the same as connection with truth. Just because something demands your attention doesn't mean it deserves your energy. To respond is to reclaim your energy. It is the conscious choice to act from wisdom instead of emotion. When someone offends you, the response asks, what are they projecting and what am I carrying? When fear rises, response whispers, pause, look again. Is this fear based on fact or on imagination? When stress takes over, response grounds you. Return to breath, return to now, return to what you can control. Reacting feels satisfying in the short term. It feels like movement, like power, like release, but it often leaves behind regret, miscommunication, damage to relationships, or a sense of inner disconnection. Responding may feel slower, quieter, but it leads to resolution, understanding, peace. There is strength in the pause. In that small space between the trigger and the response, you hold your freedom. You are no longer just the passenger to circumstance. You become the observer and then the conscious participant. And the more you practice this, the more that space grows. What once enraged you now barely stirs you. What once made you anxious now becomes an opportunity to deepen your awareness. This is not about becoming passive. Response is not weakness. It is precision. It is about choosing your words carefully. It is walking away when needed strength. The person you believe yourself to be becomes the person you act like, and the person you act like becomes the life you create. It all starts with one simple thing: the words you choose to say to yourself in the stillness of morning. So when the alarm goes off, before reaching for your phone, before checking in with the world, check in with yourself, not with pressure, but with presence. Who am I choosing to be today? What energy am I choosing to carry? What truth will I tell myself, even if no one else hears it? Because those quiet words shape your path more than anything else. And every day you get the chance to choose them again. In a world that glorifies speed, constant motion, and instant results, stillness can feel unnatural, even wrong. We are conditioned to move quickly, to react immediately, to fill every gap with noise or effort. But this rush often leads to exhaustion, confusion, and scattered focus. We mistake movement for progress and busyness for purpose. And yet the deepest strength is not found in motion, it is found in stillness before the motion begins. Stillness before action is not laziness. It is not inaction, it is the conscious pause that allows clarity to form before choices are made. It is the breath before the leap, the silence before the music, the grounding before the step forward. Without this stillness, we often move from impulse, not intention. We act without knowing why. We speak before we've understood. We chase without direction. But when we allow space between the thought and the action, we gain something rare, power that is rooted rather than reactive. In that pause, we reflect, we listen, we become aware, and with awareness comes choice. Not the rushed choice of survival, but the calm decision of alignment. Stillness is where discipline is born, not the kind of discipline that comes from force, shame, or guilt. The deeper kind, the kind that grows from self-awareness. When you pause before acting, you begin to ask better questions. Is this action necessary? Is it aligned with who I want to become? Am I reacting to fear or responding from clarity? These questions cannot be answered in a state of frenzy. They require space. They require stillness. In stillness, your mind untangles, emotions settle, the fog begins to lift, and your inner voice, quiet, often ignored, starts to speak. Not in noise, but in knowing. That voice is often drowned out by the external world, but it never leaves. It waits for you in the silence. Stillness also reconnects you with your body. You begin to notice how certain thoughts feel, where stress lives, how tension hides in your shoulders or breath. When you're moving too fast, you can't feel these signals. You override them, you burn out. But when you're still, you notice, and when you notice, you heal. The most powerful actions are those that come after the pause, after the breath, after the stillness. Because those actions are intentional. They come from a deeper place, not from fear or comparison or ego, but from inner alignment. That kind of action doesn't drain you. It energizes you, it's focused, it's sustainable. Even nature understands this rhythm. The seed does not sprout the moment it's planted. It sits in stillness, in darkness, before it begins to grow. The ocean appears calm on the surface, but beneath that stillness is immense depth, strength, and quiet force. Stillness is not the absence of energy, it is the gathering of it. We often think that the people who move the fastest are the most powerful, but if you look closely, the ones who make the greatest impact are rarely rushing. They move with precision, they speak with thought, they act from the center, and that center is created through stillness. Stillness is also where courage is built, When you are constantly moving, constantly distracting yourself, you avoid your fears. You run from discomfort. But when you sit in stillness, everything surfaces. The doubts, the old wounds, the uncomfortable truths. And instead of avoiding them, you face them. You learn to sit with them. You begin to understand them. That is where real strength comes from. Not pretending fear doesn't exist, but becoming familiar with it and choosing to move anyway. Calm reflection doesn't delay your growth. It protects it. It prevents you from making decisions that cost you more than they give. It helps you focus your energy where it matters, instead of scattering it across things that don't. It teaches you to listen deeply, patiently, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to notice how often your past tries to control your present. You begin to catch the old narratives that tell you to act out of fear, scarcity, or anger. You begin to see where you've been operating on autopilot, and in that moment of seeing, you get the chance to choose something different. When your mind is still, you can observe your own thinking. You become the watcher, not just the thinker. And that distance gives you power. You no longer believe every thought. You no longer react to every feeling. You begin to choose your responses. That is the birth of wisdom. Stillness is not something you need to earn. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. Just as the body needs rest to function, the mind needs silence to see clearly. You don't have to meditate for hours or sit in a cave. A few quiet moments each morning, a conscious breath before a difficult conversation, a pause before you open your phone. These are all doorways into stillness. Over time, those moments build a foundation. You become more grounded, less reactive. You carry yourself with calm energy. Even in stressful situations, people feel it. You feel it. Your decisions improve. Your inner voice strengthens, and you begin to trust yourself. Not because you always know what to do, but because you've created space to find out. Stillness before action is not a delay. It is a refinement. It is how you sharpen your vision, your purpose, your strength. It is how you remember what matters before you step into the world and start running again. So take the time, sit, breathe, listen. Let your next move come not from urgency, but from awareness. That is where your true power lives. In the space before the motion, in the silence before the sound, in the stillness before the action. You do not need to race into the day to prove your worth. You do not need to react to every thought or rush toward every goal just to feel alive. You are already here, and that is enough. Each morning, you are given a quiet invitation, not to be perfect, but to be present, not to impress, but to align. With each breath, you can choose to speak to yourself with kindness, to move with purpose, to pause with awareness. These are not grand gestures. They are quiet acts of power. Because identity is not built in a single moment. It is shaped slowly, silently, through the words you speak to yourself, the energy you carry, and the intention behind your steps. And every day, you get the chance to begin again. So, let your mornings be sacred. Let your self-talk be honest and empowering. Let your stillness be the ground from which your strength rises. You are not here to survive the day. You are here to shape it deliberately, consciously, and with full presence. And when the world pulls you in all directions, return to yourself. Return to your breath. Return to the quiet truths that guide you. I am present and I am enough. I respond, not react. Today, I walk with intention. This is how you reclaim your day. This is how you remember who you truly are.